What is going on, A to Z Sports? Sam Phelan here with you for Titans at 2. Going to be previewing week 2 and the home opener for your Tennessee Titans against the New York Jets coming up this Sunday. Going to take a look at what Titans head coach Brian Callahan had to say about the game, his preview of the game. Also going to hear from defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. Brian Callahan going to give us something he could have done better as the Titans head coach that I expect to play out in real time on Sunday afternoon, and a bet that you can take to help you out as well if you're buying it. Also going to hear from Brian Callahan and Denard Wilson about a narrative surrounding the New York Jets that they are not buying heading into this game. So 2 interesting points here as the Titans looked for a big bounce back week. It was ugly for Will Levis and the offense in Chicago. It was an unfortunate 0-1 start after a 17-0 lead in the first half. Titans need this one. Straight up, if they can win this game, get back to 1-1. A lot of opportunities here against Green Bay and potentially Malik Willis. And now with all of the turmoil, I guess, going on in Miami, the situation with Tua Tagovailoa and whether or not he will be healthy potentially helps the Titans look at some more winnable games in the near future. But a big one first against the Jets. Can the Titans get past Aaron Rodgers and company? That's what we're talking about this afternoon. Before we do it, want to give some love because today's Titans at 2 is presented and powered by Lipscomb University, my alma mater, Lipscomb University. In the Lipscomb Sports Analytics Department, it's where data meets the game, where you can analyze, strategize, and revolutionize. Turn your passion into profession and go beyond the box score. Lipscomb takes game-changing insights and career-defining skills and gives them to you so you can get off the sidelines and into action. With the Lipscomb Sports Analytics program, you'll learn to make the calls that count, turning sports fans into data-driven decision makers in the exciting world of professional athletics. At Lipscomb, they're not just watching the game, they're changing how it's played through an innovative sports analytics program. Like I said, I am a graduate of Lipscomb University, equipped with all of the skills I needed to succeed in my career. So, if sports analytics is something that sounds appealing to you, go check out my alma mater, Lipscomb University. All right, Brian Callahan previews Titans at Jets, and in the meantime, brought up one thing that he can do better as Titans head coach that I think we'll see play out on Sunday. Here's Callahan talking about the split used between Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears.
Running backs and the distribution of touches. I think Pollard had 16 carries. Spears had 5 or something like that. Was that just like going with the hot hand? Is that how you wanted it entering that game? Or what was behind it?
No, I think Tony ran the ball well. He was doing a nice job. I'd like to get more for Tyjae. I'd like to get him going a little bit more. We can make that division of labor probably a little closer to equal. I think at the end of the day, Tyjae found his way onto the field a little more on some of the third downs. But, yeah, I would like that to be a little more even and for Tyjae to get a little more work too. I regret that part of it.
So a regret for Brian Callahan not getting Tyjae Spears more involved on the ground. Only 4 carries for Spears, and a lot of them were in the fourth quarter of that game. So it took him a while to even get involved on the ground. Tony Pollard did have a very good Titans debut with 16 carries, and a really effective first half for Tony Pollard, a player who I believe going to be the surprise of the season for Titans fans is the impact that Tony Pollard will have. I think we saw that in Chicago. Now, granted, the Titans did not run the ball a ton. They only had 20 carries for their 2 running backs combined, which I think I expect that number to be a little bit higher, a little bit closer to 25 to 30, in ideal situations. But, they did not have the ball for a ton of plays like they would have liked to in the second half. A lot of 3-and-outs and just 55 total yards of offense. Tyjae Spears more involved, though. I would love to see this out of Tennessee. I think it's something they were missing. I think he is one of your better playmakers with the ball in his hands. And we saw that last year as a rookie. We saw what Tyjae was able to do when he's incorporated into both the passing and running game. And if that division of labor is closer to equal, I think it will set the Titans up for more explosives. And it will set up a nice bet because on BetMGM right now, Tyjae Spears over-under on rushing yards is 23.5. 23.5 for Tyjae Spears. Now, he was at 21 in week 1 with only 4 carries. Now, picture this guy is getting 10 to 12 carries. If we're talking about an equal division of labor, I am hammering the over on Tyjae Spears rushing yards in week 1. So that's kind of going to be my pick of the day. But I thought a really interesting thing from Brian Callahan and a note there to say, hey, this is a regret that I have for my first game as a head coach in an area that he can be better. I think it's one of the more refreshing things about Brian Callahan, this idea that, he is not attached to one way of thinking or one way of doing things. Him and Nick Holtz both referred to it as archaic coaching when I talked to them about it this week of like, hey, here's our identity. Here's what we do well. We're going to stick to our identity. Ring a bell, Titans fans. Hello, Mike Vrabel style of coaching, which can work. And it worked for Mike Vrabel for a very long time and could work for Mike Vrabel if he gets another head coaching opportunity out there. But I do love that Brian Callahan has this sort of humility to him where he's willing to address, we might need to adapt and switch what our identity is as an offense and as a team based on our personnel and put our players in a position to succeed based on what they do well and not necessarily what my definition of what our team should look like is. I think it's a really creative and innovative mindset. I think it's a very new age coaching philosophy, but it's something that I believe will pay dividends for the Titans, not just throughout the course of this season and the next couple of weeks, but throughout Callahan's entire coaching tenure. Want to get to a little bit more on the Jets preview because both Callahan and Denard Wilson made some comments about the Jets that basically was them saying, hey, whatever narrative that you've heard about New York, we're not really buying it. Here's Callie on the Jets, and I'll give a little bit more context to his comments after the video.
Jets coming into town, a really, really good football team. Had a tough matchup against the Niners on Monday night. Game kind of got away from them a little bit as the game wore on, but a team that I got a tremendous amount of respect for. Their defense over the last handful of years has been certainly one of the top 5 in almost every category. They got excellent talent in the secondary. They got a really good front. They got 2 really good linebackers. It's a formidable opponent on defense. Offensively, they got one of the best runners in football, I think, as far as talent, catching the ball. They got a really good young receiver and obviously a Hall of Fame quarterback that is leading the show there. So really, really good coaching staff, guys that I know really well, a lot of people that I've come across in my career, guys that I got a lot of respect for. They'll be ready to roll on a short week, and they'll give us as good a test as anybody. So looking forward to it, looking forward to the challenge, but we're going up against a very, very good defense and an offense with a Hall of Fame quarterback. So we got a work cut out for us this week.
So Callie hits all the main points there, right? Like what a Jets defense this is. It's the pride and joy of their roster coming into the season, something that they're championed for with all these different players. Obviously highlights the impact of Sauce Gardner. And then, offensively, Breece Hall is one of the better backs in football right now. Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Fame quarterback, and Garrett Wilson, a very talented young wide receiver as well. So the Titans do have their hands full. One comment that Callahan made, or I guess continued to make later on in that press conference that I found very interesting was he was asked about the Jets' performance on Monday Night Football. It's something that I've talked about a little bit this week, but I think there was a lot of hype surrounding the New York Jets, this sort of feeling of, hey, maybe the Jets are Super Bowl contenders. Is that crazy to say? If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, this defense is really good. And they did not really look the part on Monday night, I didn't think. I mean, they got ran all over by Jordan Mason and the 49ers. Mason went well over 100 yards rushing, had a touchdown. They controlled the pace of play and controlled the time of possession for the entire game. It was a really strong effort by Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. Not as much for the Jets, and Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense even struggled outside of one opening touchdown drive. And then Tyrod Taylor led a touchdown drive towards the end of the game after Rodgers had already been pulled. So one of the comments Callahan made, though, that I thought was interesting was he wasn't really buying into the week 1 performance. He was kind of asked about, all right, well, there was this thought that this defense was going to be really good and be able to stop the run. But when you see them get run over like that and struggle to stop the run in week 1, does it make you more optimistic about your chances? Or do you kind of have to chalk it up to every week is a new week because they're going to make adjustments? And Callahan was absolutely subscribing to the idea of every week is a new week. They're going to make adjustments. Oh, and by the way, it was the 49ers. everybody gets gashed by the 49ers. Like you heard Callahan say in there, game got away from them late, but it was a good matchup for them. So I think he felt more optimistic about what the Jets brought to the table on Monday Night Football than a lot of other people out there, myself included. I kind of looked at the Jets and said, hey, maybe they're not as good as we thought. Callahan says, no, they're very, very good, just going up against a really scary and formidable opponent in the 49ers. And then Denard Wilson kind of commented more about this Jets offense and another sort of narrative about the Jets right now, right? Which is they've got Breece Hall, they've got Garrett Wilson, they've got some pieces here that could be a really strong offense, but Aaron Rodgers is old. Aaron Rodgers isn't, the Aaron Rodgers that he used to be. He doesn't move the same, and he didn't move the same against the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think he moved very well. That doesn't matter. Denard Wilson not buying into week one the same way Brian Callahan's not buying into week one. The Titans defensive coordinator told the media, I'm treating Aaron Rodgers like the Aaron Rodgers of old.
It's obviously a big thing to scout when you're looking ahead at a quarterback. Caleb Williams had the ability to move. Aaron Rodgers, different considering his injury. How much does that play a factor in your conversation with your guys?
It all plays a factor, on the rush plan and how you do it. Aaron didn't move a lot in the first game, but from history, he still moved, and I didn't see anything from an injury standpoint to say that he can't move. So we're going to prepare as if it's clean for him to go, he's going to go. I'm treating Aaron Rodgers as the Aaron Rodgers of old as of right now until I see otherwise.
So you hear Wilson acknowledge there, Aaron Rodgers did not move really in week one against the 49ers, but his history suggests that he will. Might be ancient history when you realize Rodgers didn't really play in the NFL in 2023. He's coming off the Achilles injury. Like, he is what he is now, not Aaron Rodgers of 2022. Now, time will tell with Rodgers, right? Time will tell if it was one game back and a little bit of rust, or if the age and the injury is starting to affect his ability to move around. If it is affecting his ability to move around, I think it's a significant disadvantage for Rodgers and the Jets, because that is such a big pillar of what Rodgers has done so well over the course of his career. Denard Wilson, Brian Callahan, buying more into the history of the Jets. Callie, right, buying into the defense and what the defense showed that they were last year, not what the defense appeared to be against the 49ers. So he's buying into previous Jets defenses more than what they were in week one. Denard Wilson buying into the previous iteration of Aaron Rodgers and not the Aaron Rodgers that he necessarily saw in week one. Maybe the main storyline for the Titans and whether or not the Titans win is the storyline of the Jets. And is the Jets roster what we thought it could be coming in, or is it a little bit worse than we thought because of age, injury, change, etc.? Or, can we bank on history? One thing the Titans will need to bank on, turning the ball over on defense. Denard Wilson, very complimentary of his defensive unit, as he should be. I think the defensive dominance the Titans showed in Chicago gives me a ton of confidence in this team moving forward, that they will at least play consistently competitive games and will be able to be competitive against the Jets this weekend and moving forward, Green Bay, moving forward, Miami. The Titans are going to muddy some games. They're going to get scrappy in some of these games. Denard Wilson's defense looking good, but they have to create turnovers to help out Will Levis in the offense.
Turnovers was something you really wanted to do. This defense last year, they were second to last.
Right.
One turnover in this game. What could you guys have done to?
Well, that's the thing we harped on. Like, in terms of keeping the ball in front, tackling, building the wall in the run game. The one thing that you come out of the game and say we didn't take the ball away, and that's a huge emphasis for us. It's a huge emphasis going into this game. And the thing that with takeaways, it's about your technique. It's about population to the ball and being violent at the point of a contact. And we need to do that. We need to make effort to knock the ball out, get it off of the team, to create short fields or scoring defense. And if you want to be a good defense in the league, you got to take the ball away.
Heading into week two, I think, Will Levis is top of mind for Titans fans. What Will Levis is going to do seems to be the most important thing for the Titans. But maybe the key to the game is not necessarily Will Levis, but what the Titans do around him. Tajay Spears getting more involved on offense, like we heard from Brian Callahan earlier, potentially simplifying life for Levis and getting one of the Titans' best playmakers more involved. Reminder, DeAndre Hopkins also closer to 100% in Sunday's game as well, after being pretty much non-existent in Chicago. That will help as well. So 2 players that you can get more involved in your offense that can help Levis out. Pillar number 2, kind of key number 2, is what is Aaron Rodgers and what are the Jets? I don't think we have that answer yet. And so we don't really understand how tough of an opponent this is for Tennessee until we see a little bit more data. But maybe this is good, right? Maybe Rodgers is a little bit rusty. Maybe the Jets are still trying to figure things out defensively. Maybe this is the perfect time of year for the Titans to play them and potentially steal a game in the home opener. And then number 3 is going to be partially on Will Levis, partially on the defense. Win the turnover battle. You got to do it. You cannot make the big mistakes like you did against the Bears. That's what cost you that football game. Caleb Williams played horrible, and the Titans defense shut him down. But Caleb Williams never made the big mistake that cost the Bears the football game the same way Will Levis did, with a pick 6, with the blocked punt that turned into a touchdown for the Bears as well. So the Titans are going to have to be on the receiving end of all of those breaks. Before we get out of here, another reminder and more love heading to my alma mater, Lipscomb University, and the Lipscomb Sports Analytics program, where data meets the game, where you can analyze, strategize, and revolutionize. So if sports analytics and watching sports in an analytical way is something that interests you, go look into Lipscomb. At Lipscomb, they're not just watching the game, they're changing how it's played through an innovative sports analytics program, turning sports fans into data-driven decision makers in the exciting world of professional athletics. The staff at Lipscomb, man, they are so helpful in advancing your career, in advancing your goals and aspirations, and in instilling you with the tool bag that you need to succeed at whatever your life achievement is that you have your eyes on. So Lipscomb Sports Analytics, they're making today's Titans at 2 happen. I'm going to head out of here because, a little peek behind the curtain. It's Friday morning. I got to go get to the Titans facility to go watch some practice, talk to Brian Callahan, get an injury report to get out to all of you guys so that we know who's going to be available for Tennessee in the home opener. Hey, keep fighting the good fight, keep hope alive, and keep tightening up. I'll talk to you guys later and hope for the best on Sunday against the Jets.